Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our reactions to the F1 Academy finale, running late but sounding great. I think this is the latest I've ever done a reactions to a race before. Normally I like to get the reactions out like within an hour of the race happening. Today we are what? 2 days removed from the final race of the season, but we're here to discuss it now. It's just because of the time difference. It would have been like first thing in the morning to watch these races, so I didn't watch them live. And then I guess I've been very busy, so I haven't been able to catch up. But I have watched them both today. I'm going to talk about all of it now because I think it was an interesting one. I think it wasn't their best weekend ever, that's for sure. Had a lot of eyes on them, got a lot of really good business deals in place for it, which is good for the series as a whole. With the whole Hello Kitty thing was obviously a huge part of this weekend. And then they also announced the Lego stuff, which is going to come into next year, which I think is really good as well for the future of the series. But this was a huge weekend for F1 Academy, not just from a marketability point of view, but also just from a racing point of view, because of course we had our championship decided, had both championships decided, but also with the rule that you can only do 2 years of F1 Academy in place, we had to say goodbye to 7 different drivers this weekend. They had their last races for the series, and who knows, we may see them again one day down the line in a Formula 3, Formula 2, who knows, maybe even Formula 1. But yes, no matter what happened, this was the last weekend for Doriane Pan, Tina Houseman, Chloe Chong, Aurelia Nobles, Leah Block, Maya Vug, and Chloe Chambers. And F1 Academy is a bit weird because obviously they had a season before the season that was televised. So I always think of season 2 of F1 Academy as season 1. And a lot of these drivers have been the big names that we've spoken about since season 1. Of course, you have someone like Avi Pullings, who's no longer there because she won the championship. But when you're looking at names like a Doriane Pan, a Chloe Chambers, and Maya Vug, they have been 3 of the biggest names that this formula has had. And, this is the end of the road for them in terms of this racing series. So, very sad for them, but I'm sure they will go on to do great things. And, of course, the championship was still up for grabs. Doriane Pan versus Maya Vug. Now, the championship could not be settled in the first race of the weekend, but let's be honest, the championship was settled in the first race of the weekend. So, Doriane Pan led Maya Vug by just 9 points going into this weekend. On the reverse grid for race number 1, Nina Gaidman was on pole, Emma Felbermeyer alongside her. In terms of our championship protagonists, it was Doriane Pan in 5th, Maya Vug in 4th. It had been raining. This was in between FP3 for Formula 1 and qualifying. It was in that little gap there, and it had been raining. We saw all the F1 cars. They were on inters for that FP1 session. As we get going, Felbermeyer, who was on P2, she stalls on the grid. It appears to be a clutch issue for her that reappears again in race 2. We'll talk about that more down the line. But the big moment on the formation lap, I think there was more than one formation lap, but Maya Vug, our championship challenger, under the formation lap, behind the safety car, drives right into the back of Tina Houseman, ending both of their races before they even begin. Firstly, it means the race starts under safety car, so you lose a few laps there, but what this also means is it was basically over. Unless Doriane Pan had a DNF as well, she was already 9 points ahead. She got considerably more ahead here. Vug blamed it on Houseman, and Houseman blamed it on Nobles. Sorry, not Nobles. She blamed it on Gaidman. I think it's just a Maya Vug mistake. Looking at the replay, she just doesn't slow down. And, Houseman was saying that Nina Gaidman was stopping and starting, warming up her tyres. But yes, on the replay, it just looks like Maya Vug is driving right into the back of her. Ends both of their races, and it was upsetting to see because, of course, I'd hyped this championship quite a lot to myself, and I think if we look at the form that Maya Vug had over the races before this. She'd been incredible. She'd really worked herself back into this championship and had tremendous form, and for it to kind of end before it's even begun this weekend was upsetting to see. But alas, we must carry on with the race 1. Safety car ends on lap 4, and off the start, Doriane Pan all over the back of Nina Gademan immediately. But Pan and Gademan both go wide into turn 1, and Alba Larsen is alongside and past Pan for P2. Half a lap later, Larsen's putting the pressure on Nina Gademan for the lead, and then Larsen takes the lead. An incredible opening lap for her. I'm thinking, bloody hell, Alba Larsen, on this race weekend where everyone's going to be retiring from F1 Academy, she is putting her foot down and putting her name in the conversation for maybe champion next year. Then, half a lap later, she loses it. We see on a replay that she did tap the wall on the straight, and then as she's entering the final corner, just completely loses the rear end. Was very lucky to not hit the wall there. Then she comes back across the track and was very lucky again not to be collected by any of the other drivers coming through, but she falls to the back of the grid from there, from first to last in the matter of one corner. But, you know, what I say all the time when talking about young drivers, and she's only 16 years old, Larsen, so she's got a lot to learn. But, you know, what I always say when we're talking about young drivers, whether it be F1 rookies or, you know, Formula Academy, F2, F3, whatever it is, you've always got to look at the peaks rather than the troughs. You've always got to look at where they are their best, because the thing is, you can iron out those bad moments, and you just get the top moments. And that one lap that she did off the restart was insanely good. And you're talking about going against someone like a Doriane Pan, who has been consistently one of, if not the best drivers in Formula Academy, and Larsen just turned up and made it look easy to get past her, and half a lap later was in the lead of the race. It was perfection from Larsen until it all went wrong. But, you know, there's positives there from her, so hopefully we will see more next year. At this point, everyone's still on the wets. Chloe Chong makes a move over to the slicks, but it doesn't really work. Ella Lloyd, who was third in the championship heading into this race weekend, she goes for a dive around the outside of Palmowski and Chambers, but just completely misjudges it, goes a bit deep, and then she's out on the outside of the track on that painted like advertising bit they have around the outside of the tarmac, and it's all wet. She has no grip and just slowly crashes front end into a wall, and she's out from there. Safety car comes out again, lasts until lap 9. As we get going again, Nina Gademan gets away well, but has a slight mistake into turn 1, and Doriane Pan, it's a slight mistake from Doriane Pan, into turn 1, who is now under pressure from Chloe Chambers and Palmowski. But Pan is let off a little bit because Palmowski is now fighting Chambers. Palmowski gets past Chambers for P3. Meanwhile, back to the front, Doriane Pan is alongside Gademan and takes the lead of the race. Chloe Chambers passes Palmowski again, but as they're coming through that tight right-left section after that long straight, they make contact. Chambers is out, she's in the wall. Palmowski was able to continue in P3. As we cross the line, though, it is Doriane Pan who takes the win and gets the fastest lap. So 11 points she gained in this one race, whilst Maya Vug didn't even make the start. Nina Gademan was in P2, then it was Palmowski in P3, but she was later disqualified for a technical infringement. So P3 went to Nobles, then it was 4th for Robertson, 5th for Block. Westcott is the wild card, she was in 6th. Crone is 7th, and then Farina in 8th. Then we went to race 2. Now at this point, Doriane Pan had a 20-point lead on Maya Vug, so it was basically, it wasn't over, but it was over. Maya Vug needed to win the race, and Doriane Pan finished 7th or lower. Chloe Chambers started this race from pole position, her 4th pole of the year, the most of anyone for her final F1 Academy race. Alicia Palmowski alongside her. Doriane Pan was in 4th, Maya Vug in 5th. Felbermeyer stalls on the grid again, another clutch issue for her there. And as we start the race, Chambers gets away well. It's Larson versus Pan again for P3. Larson able to keep the position there. Vug goes for a dive down the inside of Pan, but can't make the move stick. We get a safety car now because Chaconte and Westcott are both out of the race. We never truly see a replay of what happened here. We kind of catch the end of it in the live feed, then they show a replay, and it looks from that replay like both of them just lost it in the exact same place at the exact same time. I'm not sure if that actually happened, because we don't get a replay of it like on board or a little bit before, but both of them were out from here. Safety car ends on lap 6. Doriane Pan dives down the inside of Larson to take P3. Then Vug just follows her through a couple corners later, past Larson up to P4. Vug knowing she has to beat Pan, and she needs Pan to have a bit of difficulty, so she's not messing about. She's going to P4. Vug goes round the outside of Pan into turn 1 to take P3 on lap 10 of 13. Then she goes for a move on Palmowski, but can't quite make it stick. Then there's a great sequence here, the sequence of the weekend. Vug goes up to P2 with a great move to get past Palmowski. Palmowski comes back into the final corner, hits the switchback into turn 1 as Vug goes deep, gets P2 back on lap 12 of 13. Meanwhile, Doriane Pan starts going backwards a little bit here because Larson dives past for P4. And you're thinking at this point, maybe in the final few laps, we're going to have some chaos here, which will see Maya Vug claim the win and Doriane Pan fall down to 7th. But ultimately, it does not happen. Chloe Chambers wins the final race of the year. Pawlowski comes in 2nd. Vug is 3rd. Larson is 4th. Doriane Pan is 5th. Ella Lloyd 6th. Nina Gademan 7th. Tina Hausman in 8th. Farina in 9th. And Nobles in 10th. It means it is enough for Doriane Pan to secure the F1 Academy title for 2025, becoming the 3rd ever Formula 1 Academy champion, and you have to say, it is well deserved. I think Maya Vug did have better form in the races leading up to this one, the last 2 or 3 race weekends. Vug has been fantastic, had some really good races to pull herself back in here, but the thing I keep on thinking of when it comes to Doriane Pan and as the F1 Academy champion is I think really it would be wrong for Doriane Pan to not be an F1 Academy champion. The moment she entered the series, she has been one of the best on the grid. You've got drivers like, I think Chloe Chambers, who won this, is the perfect example of someone who's seriously grown through their time in F1 Academy. You know, when she joined last year, you know, she was okay, was decent, but she got better and better through Series 1. And I remember I think it was the race in Miami, when she first was like, had a really strong race, and first was on my radar. I was okay, this could be someone who's special. And then she's turned up this year and has continued that momentum and has got really, really strong. Obviously, wasn't in the title hunt this year, but has won races, done really well, finished 3rd in the championship, has grown throughout the F1 Academy time. Whereas Doriane Pan, as much as she has got better, undoubtedly, she's always been really good. You know, we talk about Doriane Pan. She turned up that first weekend in Saudi in 2024 and was just better than everyone. Was easily the best there. But what happened over her time is that everyone else has kind of caught her up a little bit. Abby Pulling obviously went above and beyond and was just fantastic last year. And, you know, over the course of this year, we've seen someone like a Vug catch up. We've seen someone like a Chambers on her day catch up. But Doriane Pan has just been consistently that level, whilst everyone else has been getting to that level. So I think to have someone that good not be F1 Academy champion, I think would be wrong. So I think she's taken her rightful place as F1 Academy champion. And, you know, we'll have to wait and see, maybe, I don't know, in like 10 years' time, how history reflects on F1 Academy. Because, you know, you think of something like W Series, which just didn't go the right way and ended quite badly. And I don't think F1 Academy will go that way, because I think it is far better ran. But, you know, maybe in 10 years' time, how are we going to look back at this? And I think we'll look back at Doriane Pan as one of the greats of F1 Academy, if you will. I think the only thing with her is I don't know if we're going to be seeing her like in a Formula 3 or Formula 2, something like that. I don't know, because she is 21 now, and that was my criticism of F1 Academy last year. Is I thought they were bringing in drivers who were kind of a little bit too old already. I'm not that 21 is old, but she had a lot of experience behind her, and like, will they, if she goes to Formula 3, then Formula 2, will an F1 team want to sign a driver who is like already 25, 26 by the time they get there? But I think they are correcting that now with someone like a Larson, who's only 16. That's the kind of age range you think should be in these junior formulas and could potentially climb that ladder to eventually get to Formula 1. And that's the entire point of this entire thing. But not to take anything away from Doriane Patton, who is fantastic and will continue to go on to have a wonderful career. Even if she goes back to doing like your WEC type stuff, I'm sure she'll be tremendously successful there. We've got to talk about some other people as well, like a Chloe Chambers, who won this race. I'd have no idea what she'll do next, but I think she's fantastic. Someone as well like Leah Block, I think she's announced on her Instagram that she's going back to rallying. I think she's leaving the Williams Academy, and you know what? She tried it out, and that's another one. Leah Block is one like Chambers who just got better. Won a race this year. Last year was nowhere near winning a race, but you just got her head down, worked really hard, and did really well. Maya Vug is another one who got better. The likes of like your Houseman, Chong, Nobles, they were never really on that top level for me. They were never in the conversations there. Even on Leah Block, I don't think was ever on that top level, but obviously had her day where everything fell in the right place and she won a race. Houseman and Chong and Nobles never truly looked like they were going to have that kind of success, but that's just how it is sometimes. But there you go, F1 Academy done, in the books for one more year. We shall be back in 2026 to do it all again. That only leaves F2 and F1 now as our two remaining series, and the title is open in both of them, which is always nice to hear. We'll be covering all that this weekend in Qatar. F2 returns with the F1. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing you there. Till next time, have a good one. Goodbye.